Okay, now it's time for my waistband. I just put it around my body. I measured the right length, and now find the middle. Stick a pin in it. And the middle part of me. And then here to the side. That's about right. And now let's measure the other side. attaching the waistband, I'm going to do a running back stitch on the right side of the fabric. And then I'm going to hem the bottom part so that the raw edges stay folded underneath. Now, while I stitch this, I wanted to talk a little bit about thread and 18th century attitudes towards matching your fabric with your thread. There are examples of your fabric and thread matching completely, but there are a lot of examples where it does not match at all. And there are also examples where part of a gown is stitched with one color and then another part is stitched with another color. As you may have noticed, I hemmed this with a dark blue that I'm using silk thread, and that dark blue does not really match the bluish gray on my fabric. It's much darker. And now this waistband I'm sewing on with white thread. The reason for this is that I'm using whatever I happen to have on hand. And the reason I switched to the white for the waistband is, it could be partly, and is maybe partly, because the waistband is white. I'm using a white tape. So the blue would be more obvious. But that's not the only reason. The other reason is also because I ran out of that blue thread. And I happen to have white. So don't be afraid to use whatever you happen to have. You don't always have to buy something new and match everything completely. It's also about being thrifty. The idea that you always have to buy new is not really an 18th century attitude, and it's one that we could learn from in our modern plastic society. We really shouldn't be buying constantly new and more new things. So as makers, one way that we can be more environmentally friendly is that we don't buy new thread for every single project, but look through the threads you already have from previous projects, maybe the leftovers, the little tiny bits that you have on an end of a spool that don't really match, but you can't make a full outfit out of. Maybe use that for something. If it completely does not match and it's not complementary to the colors, then use it for some place where it doesn't show. Use it maybe for a basting thread. And also, if you're using natural fibers, try to stick to natural fiber yarns and threads too, because that way the whole outfit can be recycled. It's just a small thing, but it can have a big impact on how much, first of all, money you put into your costuming, but also how much waste your costuming causes. And while we're on the subject of waste, maybe not make a new gown for every single event. Well, not that there are any events right now in most places, but try maybe making a new cap or some other accessory. Maybe changing the ribbons on an old gown. Maybe even refashioning an old gown. And if you for real feel like you really want to make a new gown, that's fine too. But maybe instead of every single time buying new fabric, maybe go through what you already have. Maybe use a fabric from an old gown that you don't really use anymore or doesn't fit you anymore. and go thrifting. There can be amazing finds in thrift stores and online too. You can also look at not only yardage, but look at curtains, tablecloths, even bedding. Everything can be used. And no, it's not always 100% historically accurate, but a lot of times you can find really good options too. And also, if the event you're planning to wear the outfit in doesn't require 100% accuracy, I know I get stuck on this a lot and tend to try to make everything accurate, even if I don't need to be accurate, and kind of get stuck on that thought that, but it's not accurate. How can I really wear this? What if I'll be judged by random people on the internet for not being accurate? Sometimes, yes, it's important to be accurate, but lots of times it doesn't really matter. And sometimes if you want to make a pretty outfit just because, maybe it might be a good idea to use some recycled fabric that isn't maybe 100% accurate, rather than again buying more and more and more to make something accurate that doesn't even have to be accurate. Especially if you're not going to be sewing it by hand anyways. Does it really matter if it looks close enough? If all of the fiber content is exactly what it should be. This skirt is a wool blend. There's a little bit of something else in it, but not enough that it wouldn't still self-extinguish. So that's good enough for me. The self-extinguishing part is important for me for this wool skirt, petticoat, because I will be using this petticoat around an open fire at some point. So just keep in mind what you need it for and go with that. But unless somebody actually comes and does a burn test on the fabric, they won't know the difference, that this isn't 100% wool. And this was a thrift store find. It's secondhand fabric, it wasn't used previously for anything else. So it's fabric that would have gone completely to waste unless somebody used it. So much better for the environment than, again, making something new. Okay, here I'm coming to the end of my right side. And I want to do a few back stitches here, just to kind of reinforce this part.